Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today we are going to be covering the topics of messaging and positioning. And what I mean by that is writing. And writing where it appears on your website, writing where it appears like on your social media profiles, your posts, maybe in your blogs, or any other marketing materials that you produce. You're usually going to have some sort of writing involved in that. Even if it's not visible, like in written form, even if it's a script, writing is just the messaging is part of marketing. And there is better ways to do it, and there are worse ways to do it. And today I'm going to cover at least four major topics within messaging. One being the importance of making your customer the center of your message. Two, being simple and clear. Three, using a simple three-part framework to keep things consistent and effective. And four, making sure that you're checking over your work with a basic checklist, a clarity checklist. So let's dive in. We're going to start with talking about making your customer the center of the message. So one popular book that I always like to refer people to learn how to do this is called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And what he teaches in that book is how to make your customer the center of the message. And he says it in this way: make them the hero of the story and position yourself as the guide. Now, there are lots of ways to do this, but one very tactical, easy way to do it is to use the word your a lot in reference to your customer, and use the term us or we in reference to your company. Rather than talking about your company in the third person, for example. Using your and we obviously positions the writing in terms of a relationship, and it also helps just keep a consistency. Let's say you're writing on your website, for example. People struggle with that. To make your customer the center of the message, we need to know them. I have some previous content about learning your customer and knowing them. But we need to write from that point. So we need to know their pain. We need to know what their ambitions are, where they're going. But keeping them the center of the message is important. It seems obvious, but here's why. Every person cares about their own survival and their own ability to thrive. And so why a person buys anything is purely central to that, right? It's purely central to their own needs. And so if you spend your effort creating messaging around your product or service that is more centered on you or your solution or about your company, it's just not going to resonate as well, and it's really not going to speak to the emotion that they're feeling. Okay, so that's the number one rule: make the customer the center of the message. So if it's about landscaping business, obviously make it about the customer and their experience with either how hard yard work is, how hard it is to keep up with the yard work, and really lean into the actual experience that they're having. So you're going to need to know what that is. The second topic that I'd like to dive into is just the importance of simplicity and clarity. Everybody has to burn energy to think, basically. And the more complicated that you make your messaging, if you use big words, if you use really long sentences, or use vocabulary that is super advanced, that is actually makes it harder for a person to understand what you're really truly getting at. And even if you are an eloquent writer and your reader has a high reading level, they still have to use more energy to get through your message, and it reduces the likelihood that you're going to move them from a place of interest to a place of making a purchase. Okay? Because at the end of the day, our natural survival instincts lead us to do the easiest thing that still feels effective, right? We want to calories, save energy, but still get the result. So if you could just use less words to communicate the message, that's better. And if you could use words that are at a lower reading level, that's also tends to work best. It's sort of like a point of friction that we are trying to not have get in the way of our customers' buying process. So be super simple and clear. The third topic that I'd like to dive into in terms of messaging and positioning is the importance of just like keeping a simple framework. And so I will actually give you like a 3-part clarity framework for marketing your product or service. And it's in order 1, 2, 3 is 1, the problem or their desire of your customer, right? What problem are they having or what do they desire? The second part is how you help them achieve that. And this is so that they can understand that your solution is relevant to their problem, right? And then the third part, which is I think often overlooked, is what life looks like after they have their problem solved. A silly example might be like a leaky, or gutters that don't work, and maybe the problem is because the gutter isn't draining properly, it's doing damage to the house, and it's going to cost them financially, and also costs them the headache of more invasive repairs on their house that they have to deal with contractors on, where maybe you have the opportunity there to highlight a more proactive approach to, hey, why don't you get those gutters either cleaned or serviced or replaced, depending on what they need, so that you can avoid all these extra pains that come with avoiding the situation, and really also paint the picture of how easy it would be to be proactive about it versus how hard it will be to ignore it. So you do not want to skip the step of painting the picture of what life will look like after they take action to have you help them solve their problem. So problem, how you help, and what life looks like after. The fourth topic that we'll dive into here on messaging and positioning is just the importance of checking your work, right? This becomes relevant, I think, these days, especially because of the widespread use of AI, right? I use AI to write all the time. I'm pretty sure everybody is using AI to write anymore. But I think that we might, because we tend to want to get as much work done for as little energy as possible, a lot of us probably tend to copy and paste a lot of what is being written. Like, oh, well, that wrote it better than I ever would write it, and it did it way faster, and so I'm just going to take that win, copy, paste, be done. But it really wouldn't hurt to do sort of what I would call a pre-flight clarity check on anything that you put out to the world, right? I mean, if AI wrote it in 5 seconds, you could probably spare another couple minutes reading it through yourself and actually seeing is this clear or does this feel like a mouthful, because AI can be wordy. And so maybe this is also an opportunity to train your AI to write in more simple terms and say, please don't write so wordy. But you want to be able to kind of answer these questions. Could a stranger understand this in 5 seconds? Or is there going to be ambiguity because of the language that's used? Could any of these words be misconstrued to a different meaning? Another question might be, does it say who it's for? So right now, I would say that this whole episode here is for anybody who is writing marketing content, whether it's going to be on their website or on their social media posts, or maybe even in a magazine or an article. But does the content say who it's for? Is there an introduction to who this is helpful for? Another question is, does it mention the problem for the intended reader? Was that included in the content? Because then if it's not, then you won't be able to follow the 3-part framework. And another, one more question might be, does it explain the outcome, right? So basically you're saying, is this super simple and clear? And does it follow the 3-part framework? This is something that, these are like really basic rules that could really help anybody in their writing and in marketing their business, because I think a lot of people achieve simplicity through brevity, right? Or through like they get something out there, they write a quick caption, they hit send, they publish it, they're done. But I think that for those people, they could really just benefit from like asking, does this piece of content talk about a problem? Does it explain how we can help? And, does it paint a picture of like a positive outcome? Those would be like really easy checks. I highly recommend reading Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. It is just like the foundational, it's a very effective and foundational and easy read to understand basically how to write. But you can train your AI on how to do this. If it's ChatGPT or is like what we use, but you might have your own. But all these rules are relevant no matter what and no matter what tool you use. So, take the opportunity to consider them and to program them into your writing tools. And as for that, if you feel like you need help with this, maybe you don't really actually understand how to program your AI tool to do this for you, feel free to reach out to us. You can hire us hourly for consultation, and we can help you implement this into your, like if you're like a solopreneur, we can help get you going to with your AI tool to help you get your writing to be better and not sound so robotic or wordy or like whatever the default is that like it produces. We can help you work with your tool to develop your own specific writing voice so that, or have it replicate it for that matter, so that you can continue to not sound like everybody else on the internet and sound like yourself, but also get the benefit of writing faster because you have like a super tool in your pocket now. So, I hope everybody who listened today found this useful. And as always, we're here to help at Auburn Business Ventures. We are your partner in crime, if you will, for marketing your business. I think tools are changing rapidly now. And us here at Auburn Business Ventures happen to be, at the forefront of using a lot of these tools. We realized we got a report back from ChatGPT at the end of 2025. It said that we're in the top 1% of all users, which I thought was pretty epic. And so as far as like how often and how prolific we are with using it. And so if you feel like you want help with that, we'd be happy to consult you on that. All right, guys, hope that was helpful and have a good one.